Zepti, you're just in time. Follow the instructions on your screen.
Thank you, Jeremy.
All right. And pick whatever quadrant you'd like. And in the first quadrant, respond to the following prompt. Trust is ... Trust is ...
One definition per quadrant.
No, in that quadrant, just describe trust in your quadrant. And in the next quadrant, trust is not. To me, trust is not ... So we're just doing some silent journaling.
Mhm.
And we're going to move to our next prompt, which is the parts of trust are ... Shit. The parts of trust are ... ellipsis. So again, we're just doing some silent journaling. The parts of trust are ... And last but not least, trust is a part of... Trust is a part of ... dot, dot, dot. And you've caught us on the tail end of some silent journaling. Trust is a part of... And that, my dear humans, was an exercise we like to call the spiral journal. And now to debrief the structure, I've got 3 questions for you guys related to the structure itself, not the content. The content we'll have an opportunity to share with one another in just a few minutes. But around the structure itself, what did that structure, that pattern that we did of drawing the squares and making the spiral and answering the questions like this, what did it help make possible? What did it enable?
To
Creativity.
see, and also to see like different points of view, like at the first one, like just the definition, but then looking at other aspects of, looking at the trust from different angles.
So some aspectualization. And for Reforest, you had creativity. Anything else that we noticed?
Self-reflection, more clarity.
Totally.
Yeah, I'd add to that, like, I think it helped highlight, like, maybe inconsistencies about how I see trust just from looking at different angles.
Thank you. And moving to the second investigation about the nature or the affordances of the structure is approaching this topic in this way with this structure. What kind of problems or traps did it help you avoid?
Can you rephrase? I didn't understand.
Yeah, so this so using this structure of the spiral journal, so say we just threw trust into an unstructured group discussion. So what might have been the problems that just throwing it into an unstructured group discussion did approaching it in this way with this structure help us avoid and not run into?
I feel like you can understand, like, since you are looking from different angles, you can understand like what other people can think. Like your first reaction is one, but then when you are looking in different angles, like you are analyzing other aspects, and then yeah, like you can see in the eyes of other person, like their first reaction is the other one.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I had something, but I forgot. I'll say it if it comes back to me.
That's interesting, right? This is the exact sort of phenomenon that the structure might help us avoid, right?
Yeah. I think what I was gonna say is it helps us work out our own kind of personal definition of it, and then so that maybe the next step is going to be like talking about what those definitions are, so that we have, we're on common ground with each other, and we see like, you know, whether or not we decide on a consistent definition as a group, we can see how each other's definitions might vary.
Thank you.
Yeah, going off of that, I mean, I think when we open it up to discussion too soon, we often are wanting to verify our sense of belonging. So it's like, oh, what do you think trust is? And oh, they said it's this. Yeah, that's probably right. Forget what I was saying, And so by being forced to do 4 different journal prompts on our own, we're like really just with our own energy and our own thoughts and experience and elaborating on that more rather than being influenced by our peers.
Thank you. And then my final invitation to sort of debrief the structure is where might you see an opportunity to make use of this pattern in the rest of your life, in meetings or conversations? Where might it be useful for you? Are there any ideas?
Maybe in like offboarding or receiving feedback from a conflict mediation process.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Also, when making a brainstorm, because that what Forrest said, I hadn't seen it that way, but it's true. Like sometimes when we are in a brainstorm, someone says something that we click, and then we just repeat that. But if we had some time before the brainstorm to do this individually, maybe yeah, we could think of different things.
Righteous. Thank you. So that, quite briefly, was this pattern called spiral journal. It is one of many liberating structures that are currently under the status of in development, meaning that it hasn't been entered into the official canon of 33 structures that I'll talk about maybe sometime or maybe never. But it can be a helpful pattern for all of the reasons we just sort of discussed. The next act in our adventure together is a structure that goes by the name of impromptu networking. So impromptu networking is going to put our self-organization up to the test. What we're going to do is that we're going to have a series of 3 separate one-on-one conversations. So we're going to have to spread out over the rest of the audio channels and figure out how we're going to box time. I propose that on the 5-minute mark, just one of you switch and go find a new conversation partner. So you'll have to keep track of the time. So that would be, if we're able to get started here in the next 2 minutes, that would be at the 30 mark, wherever you're at the 35 mark and the 40 mark. You would just go ahead and switch and find a new partner in one of these channels. You'll notice that that has a vibe to it. So 3 separate one-on-one conversations. Each conversation is 5-minute in length. Some basic pro tips is to ignore this part because we don't need it. Basic pro tips are to get straight to the point when you jump into the conversation, share time, and reflect one another with recognition and appreciation. So are there any questions about the nuts and bolts of how we're going to do the structure itself?
What?
Yeah. Sorry, like 3 separate one-on-one conversations, but how many groups should we make?
Let's see. There are how many of us on here? 2, 4, 6. There's 6. There's 10. There's 11 plus me. So we'll need 6 groups. So we'll need to spread out over the 6 channels. I'll stay here to make life simple for everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and other question. Uh, Rapidly share information, the information regarding the exercise of what is trust.
I'm going to, that's the invitation, the prompt that'll spark everything off. I'm going to share that in just a moment. But first I want to make sure that the nuts and bolts of what we're going to do makes enough sense before I start throwing extra information at us.
Are there any voice channels we shouldn't jump into? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think this is the only call in this server to at this point.
Okay.
Cool. So it sounds like, is there any other clarifying question? Going once, going twice. Sold. Our invitation is to you. Trust is like what? Oops. To you, trust is like what? So 3 separate one-on-one conversations, 5 minutes in length. Somebody keep an eye on the time. Switch at the 30 mark, the 35 mark, and come back here as close as we can to the 40 mark. We'll jump into the next structure after that. So to you, trust is like What?
I will.
Hey, hey.
Hey, Sept.
How's it going? Let me put the clock. 5 minutes. Okay. So, what is trust is like to you?
Well, I think trust for me is a relationship. It's like a contractual agreements to create agreements somehow. Yes.
Yeah. I also see it as, more like the confident on something to happen. Like, you can trust in, like, even like if you let your phone down, it's going to get to the floor, but it's because you trust in that there is a force of gravity putting the stuff in there. But maybe if you travel to the space, maybe this is not happening, and then you put your phone out and then it starts floating, then you stop trusting, like, in gravity at that point.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a matter also of commitment. Being with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah, for me it's
Because
like,
if you're, yeah.
no,
Sorry.
sorry,
Go ahead.
finish your thought. Sorry for interrupt.
But because if okay, as a matter of commitment to with ourselves and with others, because let's say if you promise something and you broke your promise, it's like what what word has your word, which is the value of your word if you can't keep a promise.
Yeah, totally.
Something like that.
I really think like trust is changing. Like, even like, someone can say something and fail, but maybe then he says it again and he does it right, and maybe like after he doesn't doing it right like 100 times, maybe you start trusting him, right? Even if in the first time he failed. Like, I feel like trust is something that can be modified. I know, like, for humans, it's like, when someone is do mistake or fail to someone, it's very hard to recover trust. But like, if someone does 1 million times that thing, then you might start trusting him again. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, trust is evolving the whole time.
So you believe that it is evolving.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
I feel like trust is not, like, I can, even like, you can trust like the politics now, but maybe tomorrow you don't trust them anymore because they do wrong stuff, like, affects you. But then in the other side of the world, you see like some politics doing good stuff, and you're like, maybe that was not the politics to system what was bad. It's like just the ones that are governing here are wrong. Or I mean, yeah, like in
Well,
different.
maybe. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just
um.
yeah, I was just going to say, like, it depends on, the, like, a system can work or not, but it depends on, I mean, not the system, the trust like you have in the system can be modified depending on how it's acting on at your eyes.
Okay, situations can lead you to change your trust, but not your loyalty. And I don't know if there's a slight thin line between trust and loyalty there.
Yeah.
Because I understand that, as you say, well, it is not. I think it's not something like evolving. It's more like it could change. It's transformed. It's yeah. That's it. I think that's the word. It could transform depending on the situation,
Yeah, totally.
depending on the information I'm receiving. if I agree with that or not.
Yeah, and I had something else here. And yeah, I think also like the trust can be, peer to peer. I can trust you, you can trust me, but also, I can trust in the TC or you can trust in the TC. Like, it can be peer to peer, but also can be on a structure, which is, yeah, greater.
Good.
And
That's interesting.
that's our clock. I think we should get
Yes.
back to gravity.
Yeah, see you there.
Yeah, see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, there's a good amount of salt, and there's a too much salt, right? There's a not enough salt, and there's too much salt. Keep mixing it up, gang. Go find another partner in another voice channel.
Oh, okay. I see. Hey, Mete Verde.
I'm in a room with somebody.
Yay! Let me put the clock so we can get started. Yeah, 5 minutes. It's up. So yeah, what do trust looks like to you?
I was just talking with, I lost her name, Mayfer or something about it. And it's like a big, soft kind of energy envelope. So where you're in the same energy envelope with somebody. So, kind of, I guess, vibing off each other and able to work together.
Yeah.
I'm coming to that after the last conversation I had. I'm realizing I'm growing my idea of trust. What does trust look like to you? What's it like?
Yeah, for me it's like the confidence you have in something to happen.
Yep.
And yeah, it can be in individuals or in systems or even in facts. Like, like if I let my phone down, it's going to go to the floor because of gravity, and so I trust like gravity is real, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, we're also talking with Inacy, like the trust and stuff is evolving, let's say. Like, I can trust you, you can trust me, but then I can do something that you stop trusting me, or vice versa.
Right.
Or even, and even when you stop trusting me, maybe I keep doing things right, and then you trust me again, because
Yeah.
yeah, it's like like trust can evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of a I mean, you can't just be dopey and be a sucker, but it's kind of a sign of maturity to allow trust to evolve. Because some people say, oh, well, once you've broken my trust, you'll never get it back. But that's kind of a childish approach to understanding people. I guess I'm using inflammatory language there. It's probably more productive and easier to enjoy your life and get along with people if you learn to allow trust to re-evolve and realize that people change.
Yeah. I mean, totally. Like, I feel like if you are expecting expecting good intentions from people, like, of course, like when we can, like, imagine like you're a kid and then you I don't know, do stuff as a kid, but then you grow up and then you are not that kid anymore, right? So you evolve, like, so it doesn't make sense like to stop trusting someone because how he was behaving when he was a kid.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really super interesting. I like the kind of the switch to like the concrete approach about trust being kind of a confidence in facts.
Yeah.
And that's actually really important now because we're getting so much information and frankly, I don't trust any of it.
Yeah, we're in the same boat.
Like, I don't know, man.
Like, yeah, I feel like, like, I mean, I probably sort of topic, but like all this stuff with the wars, like it's, they want to you see something, but then like wars are here the whole time, and no one is talking about people in Africa in wars or all that stuff. Like no one is speaking to, because actually what Putin was for
There's
me.
even that clip going around of that guy talking about that there's blonde-haired, blue-eyed people being killed, and I'm like, what is this weirdness?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, my boyfriend's kind of happy because he's black, and he said, finally, he said it's just a bunch of white people killing each other, and I don't have to worry about it.
Lol. Yeah, I mean, also, going back to the trash, like it can also be, at different levels. Like it can be, I can trust you, you can trust me, but I also can trust the TEC, right? And then
Right.
having
Right.
like a bigger scope, like I can trust the TC, or even I can trust the DAO space, or I can trust cryptocurrency, or I can trust fiat, or I can
Yeah.
trust some politics, I cannot trust some others, but then, or I can trust in the whole system of politics. Oh, that's all timing. And yeah, also trust the system of politics, trust the individual politics, or or doesn't trust the system.
Or even trusting, you can even trust the system's going to crash. Like, trust doesn't necessarily have to be a positive thing.
Yeah, totally.
I had an aunt. I used to be very, very reactive, and I had an aunt that I lived with who used to play me like that.
Yeah, I used to be reactive too.
If she'd say something, I'd do something a certain way, so she'd do that to me.
Yeah, I think one of us should go to John's, and the other one maybe either stay here or.
Go, yeah.
Yeah.
Go. Oh, Yonks, I see Yonks. Okay, awesome. I'm right there. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Meta Verde. Yeah,
bye-bye.
Very long time.
Those things can be in the same space. Zepti, what's to you? Trust is like what?
Oh, yeah, for me, it's like, the confidence you have in something to happen. Like you can trust individuals, you can trust systems, you can trust even facts.
Yeah.
And then also like something that we were discussing here, it's like, trust it's this thing like also is evolving over time. And it doesn't, like sometimes like people say like it's, people is very easy. Like normally people think like, when someone breaks your trust, then it's very hard. I mean, actually it's hard to get it back depending on what you do. But the thing is like, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, I can do something wrong when I'm a kid, but then, on my adult thing, I keep doing things the right way. And that that shouldn't stop people trusting me, because when I was a kid I did something wrong, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I do stuff wrong all the time.
Yeah, I mean we all do.
Right. Not just when I was a kid. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was describing, for me, trust is like salt, right? So salt. If you're making pasta, if you're cooking, you can have too much salt, and that sucks. And you can
Yeah.
have too little salt, and that also sucks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I love it. I love this approach. Yeah, a lot of trust sucks. That's true.
I mean, right? It can just be too much trust, right? It's possible. I mean, it depends on the dish, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But always, like, so much is a lot, right?
Yeah, some people like more salt than others, right? Yeah, that too. Sure. Welcome back. Welcome back. So this is an interesting affordance of using these structures here in Gravity, right? Or in Discord rather than something like Zoom. With Zoom, I can program this shit, just yank you all back out of conversations. But this feels a little bit much more organic, like the good old in physical reality days, because I just have to practice my patience and see who shows up. So welcome back. That was impromptu networking, gang. Impromptu networking. 3 back-to-back-to-back one-on-one conversations around the same topic. So really interesting structure. What did you guys notice in repeating yourself in this response to, say, the third person?
Like, I felt I had, like, more knowledge. Like, at the beginning, it was just my opinion, but then my opinion with someone else, then it also integrated the second person and the third person. Yeah, you have, like, your experience raw.
Totally, totally. So you noticed yourself integrating the information from your counterparts into your conversations. Rad. Anything else?
I um I had fun because sometimes when we talk about trust and confidence, sometimes we associate it with exactitude and like certainty, but also in the last conversation I found out that we can also feel trust in uncertainty, like
Hmm.
we can find trust even though that we don't know the exact answer um, of something. Because for my personal point of view, I really related like yeah, feeling trust to like knowing how things were going to go like.
Awesome. So there's a little bit of content in there too. So this is the pattern of impromptu networking. As you can see, it's really good way to mix up your thoughts with other people's thoughts in what I hope is a relatively energizing fashion. We've got 16 minutes left, and I really want to squeeze in one more structure. It's a little greedy. We barely have time for it, but this is a good one, I promise. So the next on the docket is a structure called drawing together. And have no fear, everyone can draw together. So grab yourself that pen and piece of paper and draw yourself a circle. Everybody can draw a circle. And then draw yourself a rectangle, a square, a four-sided object. Parallelograms are acceptable, trapezoids as well, but a rectangle. And then draw yourself a triangle or a three-sided polygon. And then draw yourself a spiral. And last but not least, draw a star person. And you can actually see the star person down on the slide. It's on the slides itself if you need some inspiration for what a star person looks like. Right down yonder. It's like a star with a head, a star person. And now, next to those shapes, we're going to create our key. So a circle is going to represent wholeness, completeness. The rectangle is going to represent support. The triangle is going to represent a goal. And the spiral will represent change, chaos, depending on how you want to look at it. And then the star person will be representative of relationships. So we're going to use these 5 symbols, and you can draw as many of these symbols as you want, but try and avoid using words and just use these 5 symbols to respond to the following invitation. Around trust, what do you want to have happen? So around trust, what do you want to have happen? Another way of thinking about this is like, what is the world you want to create for yourself and enjoy around trust? So let's take 2 or 3 minutes and draw your response to around trust. What do you want to have happen? All right, gang. Does anybody need more time? Going once. Going twice. All right, sold. So, one more time, grab your drawing and jump into a one-on-one conversation. What we're going to do, though, is first you're going to show your drawing to your partner, and you're going to let them interpret it however they can. Don't give them any hints. Don't give them any clues. Just hear out what they have to say when they see your drawing, and interpret the symbols as you've put them down. After they've sort of had their go, then feel free to say, well, my intention drawing this was W, X, Y, and Z. And then switch roles. Take a look at your partner's drawing and interpret it. And, see what, yeah. Any questions? All right. Well, fare thee well.
¡Hey, hey! ¡Pshum! Ahora se va a ver bien. A ver. He puesto los 5 símbolos y luego, en plan, el círculo, dentro del cuadrado, dentro del triángulo, dentro de la espiral y encima la estrella. Estás muted.
Encima de la estrella.
Sí.
Ok. Muéstralo y yo te digo qué veo ahí. Entonces sería que el todo incluye y necesita de el soporte y de unas metas claras, y el caos está dentro de las metas y el apoyo. ¿Por qué las relaciones están afuera? No lo entiendo.
No, están por encima.
Están encima. Entonces, todo este apoyo y las metas y el caos, en última, es para soportar las relaciones. No sé.
Sí, es bastante loco. O sea, es como que todos los componentes son muy importantes y sobre todo en la confianza es muy importante en las relaciones, porque yo creo que, por ejemplo, yo puedo confiar en ti y tú puedes confiar, yo qué sé, en Jeremy, pero por lo que sea yo puedo no confiar en Jeremy, aunque tú sí confías en él, ¿sabes? O viceversa, que las relaciones yo creo que sí que son muy importantes. Por eso están por encima. Pero
Ok.
sí, muy, muy guay.
Están por encima. El mío fue diferente. Yo lo coloqué
Ah,
la
pues
relación en el centro.
Sí, a ver, como que las relaciones es la clave. eh, Luego el caos se pone por encima de las relaciones a veces y a veces hace que la confianza se pueda destruir o incluso en el caos se puede fortalecer. Sí, eso es más bien lo que veo. Y luego el
Puse el triangulito en el
Ah,
centro,
eso no es lo que no veía. Y el square también está ahí, ¿no?
sí, como una casita, como, como si fuera como el corazón, no sé, como la motivación.
Ay, y el círculo está dentro. El círculo está Ah, el círculo no es la espiral. Como que el todo
Ah,
es. Está. ¿Y
el,
cómo lo definirías?
sí, como que el todo incluye tanto los objetivos como el caos, como el apoyo y como las relaciones. O sea, como no sé, como no las puedo separar mucho, entonces todo eso está dentro.
Es curioso que ambos hayamos dibujado las. Como un dibujo dentro del otro, ¿sabes? No sé cómo lo habrán hecho los otros, porque yo al principio estaba pensando como empezar a escribir, en plan, muchos cuadrados, muchos círculos, muchos no sé qué, en plan, como una receta, y después pensé, no, lo voy a hacer así, y ahora veo que tú también lo has hecho igual y está como curioso.
Mira, Jeremy colocó esto en Twitter hace unos días y te voy a mostrar el dibujo de él, te lo voy a enviar.
¿Puedes compartir pantalla? Porque estoy haciendo el recording y es para no grabar el TM. Sí.
Ah, sí, claro, ya. Este fue el que hizo Jeremy.
Ah,
Como si
lol.
fuera una justicia o algo así.
Bright future. Wow.
Pero chévere, ¿no? Yo pienso que esto de lo del practice groups está bueno para seguir como viendo otras herramientas para practicar en las llamadas.
Total, total. Sí, a
Hola,
mí,
Mafer.
a mí me gustó mucho también, sobre todo el ejercicio de antes. Hey, Mafer.
Este fue lo que dibujamos nosotros.
Ah,
¿Tienes tu dibujo de mano?
el mío no se va a ver
Tengo
mucho.
aquí, a ver, es un robot.
Ay, qué
¡Uh!
bonito.
Que tiene soporte de piernas. Ah.
Tiene soporte de piernas con un cuerpo de objetivos, aunque
Ey,
hay caos en los objetivos.
y han puesto las relaciones también por encima.
Sí, sí,
Y yo
también.
también lo he puesto encima, mira.
Ah, mira. Sí. Me parece que las relaciones terminan siendo como que el resultado del trust.
Sí.
Bueno, no, estuvo chévere el ejercicio. Vamos a volver a ver si Jeremy nos da los últimos despedidas.
Perfecto. Nos vemos
Sí.
allí.
Listo.
Nos vemos. Chaito.
Thought of that I heard more about relationships when I'm talking to women and more about trusting things like gravity when I'm talking to men. I mean, not to throw in gender biases.
I
Not to
mean,
be the old white lady.
so you're saying we're not all the same? Oh, watch
We're
out.
not all the
Yeah.
same. Not all the same. And so that's why it was so nice to talk to like three different people, because you're getting like three different vibes on it.
For sure.
But
A
I
lot
feel
of cross-pollination. Right?
Yep. But I feel a lot. It's something I think about a lot and don't have answers for. So it's been really nice. Very
That's
helpful.
great. Well, gang, this has been a particular string of liberating structures, right? So what I hope to demonstrate with you guys and sort of show what is possible is the way in which, hey, we got lots of little people on this call today, man. I totally lose my train of thought with children, huh? So a string of structures, right? So we took the output of our first activity, right? And we made that kind of the content. We took that output and we put it into the second activity.
And then we advanced it forward with the third activity. So this is the way in which we can sort of use liberating structures almost algorithmically, like algorithms for communication, where the output of one becomes the input of the next. And we can sort of continuously make progress on something, on something that may be big and abstract and hard to put into words, actually. So my name's Jeremy. This has been our Liberating Structures practice group. And I know, hi little one, how you doing? Thanks for joining. I really appreciate your guys' time, attention, and energy. We're across the time boundary, so if you've got to spaz out,